So let's talk about Pink Floyd. First, let me start off with a story about Pink Floyd. So I actually went to Italy when I'm 30 right now. I went to Italy when I was, I think, 22. I was really young. I was really rebellious. And we went to the Vatican. Me and my family went to the Vatican, and I loved it. It was all beautiful paintings there and everything like that. But there were so many people in the tour that they gave us like headphones, right? Because they like you couldn't hear in the back or something, like, so like they literally gave you headphones, and the tour guide would speak into, like, I guess, like a microphone, and you would get it, and probably about like 20 minutes in, I'm like, this is awesome, like, trust me, like, this is my heritage. I mean, my last name legitimately is Pepe. That's not just like a gimmick. Like, I'm Italian. Trust me, I am Italian. But it got to the point where I was just like, I was so young and naive, and I was just kind of like, you know what? Screw this. And what I did was I had my phone, and I had Pink Floyd on my phone. So I was walking around with those earbuds in my ear, listening to Pink Floyd. I think I listened to the whole Animals record. I listened to the whole Wall, I think part 1 and 2. It was a long tour. And that just made, I'm like, I'm looking at some of the most beautiful artwork, Wall, like, listening to some of the, like, I'm looking at some of the most beautiful artwork while listening to some of the most beautiful music ever made. So it was a really cool combination. I was such a dipshit back then. I was such a rebel, and I'm not saying that's something I don't regret. But, like, honestly, I kind of pissed. I think I pissed my family off a lot in that. We were in Rome. We were in northern Italy. We traveled all up and down, and I was just so self-righteous back then. I'm like, oh, I'm 22 and I'm gonna be, But I will say this about Pink Floyd. They're a great band. But growing up, especially like when I was like, 17, 18, 19, 20, my friends idolized Pink Floyd. Like, idolized Pink Floyd to the point where it almost kind of annoyed me, where I'm like, they're not the best band ever. And even I almost bought into it after a while, because I'm just kind of like, all right, but it is Pink Floyd. And I was just learning guitar when some of my best friends who were amazing drummers, bassists, guitarists, were like, oh, Pink Floyd, Pink Floyd, Pink Floyd. I kind of bought into it a little bit, more than I should have. And it kind of still annoys me to this day, because, like, I think that as good of a band as they are, Dark Side of the Moon is not their best record. I honestly, I think Animals is good. I think I think that The Wall is probably their best. But for some reason, Dark Side of the Moon just like for all their praise that they got, it's just kind of they're just kind of like they're opening up with like clocks and like cash registers and stuff, and I'm just kind of like, what? Like, come on, man. Like, let's just let's fast forward through this. There are some creative choices they made that I still to this day don't agree with, and they're way better musicians than I will ever be. But it doesn't mean that I can't disagree with some of their things, and I don't think that. I think that they got a little too experimental, or they kind of did some things that really, on the looking back, were just kind of like you didn't need to put that there. Like, why are there cash registers going off in one of your songs, apparently on one of the greatest albums ever made? Like cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. Like, really? That's the best record ever made, where you're gonna throw that in there? Okay. Whatever. But I think they're, like, if I could end it here by saying they are an amazing band, but still a little overhyped. I just don't agree with some of the choices they made. I think that they could have legitimately done basically the same thing without getting like too weird with it, and they did get a little weird. Yeah, Pink Floyd. I love them. Like the Wall is such a good record. The Wall is amazing. Even like Animals is amazing. Like you got so many hits by them, and they came along at a time where everyone, like their fans and they would just sit there and like listen to them, you know, and kind of be in this intrinsic like, you know, state, which is really, really cool. I'm not saying they're not an amazing band. They are such an amazing band, but the best ever. This is kind of more of a knock on my friends who put that in my mind. Dark Side of the Moon is not their best. Honestly, Dark Side of the Moon is not even their best record. I think The Wall is, but for some reason, Dark Side of the Moon just got this like weird claim to fame. And they had that like that woman. I think she was like a she was the opera singer, but she was like a janitor at a school, and they got her, which is totally cool. Like that almost like an Aretha Franklin kind of like black, you know, woman, and which is amazing. But it's also kind of like, all right, like, you know, you have better records than this, and there's something about that record that I used to love and I kind of soured on, and maybe I kind of soured on the band a little bit over the years. But all right, Planet Peppy, everyone. Me and Stormcloud hanging out. So again, this is like, I'm gonna throw Pink Floyd in the top 20 bands of all time, but it doesn't mean that they still might not be just like a little overrated for some of the things they did. All right, Planet Peppy, everyone. Peace out, bye.